Welcome to Club Soda's Mindful Drinking Festival. We're online, global, and as always, absolutely free. Hi, I'm Drew, and I'm one of the co-founders of Club Soda.
And I'm Laura, the other co-founder of Club Soda. We help you change your drinking in ways that help you live well. So whether you're looking to cut down, stop for a bit, or quit, you can find what you need from podcasts and books and courses on joinclubsoda.com. This festival, we've brought you an amazing lineup from over 100 people from across the world.
And our programme this time really is global.
Every day starts down under with me, Sarah. As well as organising the festival in Australia, I spend my time looking for alcohol-free alternatives and tips for people who choose not to drink, but who still want to live a social, fun and adventurous life.
And I'll be wrapping up each day here in the States. I'm Amanda, your US festival host and coordinator, and I'm also a mindset coach who helps women change their relationship with alcohol so that they can start living their most authentic life.
Each day with a rolling programme of inspirational panels, conversations, social events, and opportunities to discover new low and low alcohol drinks.
So whether you want inspiration to change your drinking,
Or to connect with other people,
or you want to discover and enjoy a new low and no alcohol drink,
The Mindful Drinking Festival is for you.
cheers!
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 cheers.
Hello, happy Saturday.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello, beautiful panel. How are you? Welcome to our sober and socializing panel on this amazing Saturday evening, everyone. Just in case you don't know, my name is Emily and I run Sober and Social, and we do events to create a sober community so you never have to compromise on your social life when you're not drinking. So if you ever want to come to a party, please do follow us at Sober and Social on Instagram and I'll lead you in the right direction. Now, for this amazing evening with the most beautiful people ever, I'm very excited to be talking all things sober socializing with you all. I'm going to let you all introduce yourselves because I feel like you can do a much better job of it than I can. So if you could introduce yourself and tell them how long you've been sober and just everything about yourself. Well, not everything, because we don't want to overshare here. We're not drinking, so we can't overshare. Son Anna, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, absolutely. I'm Sun.
And I'm Anna, hence Sun Anna. So we're a DJ duo. We don't just go around calling ourselves Sun Anna.
Yeah.
That would be strange. But yeah, I've always been sober. I've actually never drunk.
Yeah.
And you're more mindful.
Yeah, just I'm not drinking when I'm working. So
Yeah.
if I'm DJing, it's sober.
It's always sober parties for us.
That's good. Make sure you know when the next beat is coming in. Yeah. You don't want to be drunk doing that, do you?
No, that's not a good look.
No, it's really not. Calvin, how about you? Would you like to intro?
Hey everyone, so I'm Calvin Fox. I have now been sober for 1 year. Actually, I celebrated my sober anniversary on Tuesday, which was amazing. I've been mindfully drinking for 4 years, but obviously decided to just kind of throw it all into the bag and just give up completely. I have worked as a drag queen and a performer for over 10 years. I haven't put the eyelashes on today because just letting the skin breathe for a little while, seeing as we're not working. So yeah, that's my life. I'm a performer and I've worked in the club industry for over 10 years now.
Amazing, which I can imagine, which I'm so excited to ask you about later, from going from a drunk drag queen to a sober drag queen and the difference in the two things. It must be amazing.
I'm still a drunk drag queen at heart, hon.
Yeah, exactly. Always still inside of you. Me sober, Katharina, would you both like to tell me a little bit about yourselves? And because you guys have been running now since this year, which is amazing. It's tough, and I feel like Berlin or Germany needs you.
Thanks. We think the same. So wait, the lovely lady here next to me, this one. So we're best friends since 28 years. So it's a long time coming. And we both have our stories with alcohol, as everyone has. I'm sober since the beginning of this year. And my best friend and I, we decided that, Germany needs a sobriety movement. And right now it's very tiny and very small. So we decided to found Me Sober, and we have our own podcast and a mentoring program. So we're really pushing hard in Germany to introduce the sobriety movement. So wish us luck, guys.
Amazing. Well, if you ever need any people to join your party, do let us know, and we'll more than happily come over.
For sure.
Thank you.
Roxy, please tell me about you and your amazing movement.
Hi everyone, my name is Roxy and I'm here representing Morning Gloryville, which is the sober morning rave. Yay! And so we were born 7 years ago, and since its inception, it's became a global movement. We've had incredible DJs, and we can't wait to have Sanana on the decks.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, we are today we've evolved into a complete mindfulness journey and an experience. So I'm really excited to share more about my personal story and Morning Gloryville and how it changed my life.
Yeah, I mean, Morning Gloryville is absolutely incredible. Even I think 5 years ago, when I was kind of knowing that I shouldn't be drinking, but still in kind of that cycle, Morning Gloryville was one of the first things I went to, and I was like, this is like incredible. Like, it really did start to change my mindset and like set me on my journey for like sober socializing and like my sober life in general. And even now when I go there, like nothing quite beats Morning Gloryville party for me. So thank you so much for still running that. It's incredible. And I want to talk now a bit more about like our sober socializing experiences and go in with kind of like the first big sober occasion that you've done. For me, it was Ibiza on a hen do. So I went in pretty big, and it definitely had its challenges. So I'd be interested to see what your guys were. I mean, Sanana, obviously, Anna, you've never drank, so it would be interesting to know your first kind of big DJ gig where everyone was kind of drinking and you being sober, and it must have been, well, lots of stories to tell, I'm sure. Would you like to begin with that one?
Yeah, so well, the first DJ gig I ever did was at the Hoxton Pony. Really cool. It was for like a fashion magazine launch, and I was really nervous. It was like my first ever DJ gig. This must have been about like 6 years ago now. And I was playing after another DJ, and he'd just finished. I'd just started, and then when he took out his USB, he actually took out my USB. So right at the beginning of my set, like all the music just like cut out, and it looked like it was me. And I just wanted to like die and crawl under the deck. And because everyone there was like quite fashiony, and everyone there was quite drunk, everyone started like booing, and I just honestly I thought, wow, if I was under the influence of something, this might be slightly less painful emotionally. So I just kind of like ducked down, someone else sorted it out for me, and then I just got up and started playing again. But apart from that, I feel like everything has been quite smooth, you know. I think it's because I'm used to not drinking. So like I've been classical music before, so I performed a lot, and I was never I was always sober, so I think that
and I feel also when we're working is it's better always to be sober, because also whatever happen, you keep your emotions in the same level, and you don't go to like super crazy or really affected or not. And because when you're really affected in a situation like that, especially if you drink, you will take the wrong decision. So if you sober, especially because you're working, it's also like somewhere is your brand, you know. It's better to have like hold your head, you know, and be sure that you will respond like in the perfect way to the situation.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think we can probably all relate to all making very bad decisions when we've been drunk. So that sounds like a very sensible thing to be able to do. And of course, I will always have you guys at every Sober and Social event, because you are like the best like DJ.
Well, we love Sober and Social, so we're there.
Sober and Social loves you. Calvin, what about you? What was your like biggest kind of like first sober socializing situation? How did you feel about it?
Gosh, okay. So obviously working in the clubs, like my job was to be trashy, to be drunk, to just like, to be messy. Do you know what I mean? Like drag queens are messy. The things that you see on RuPaul's Drag Race is all a facade. None of that exists. We are messy, trashy drag queens. That's what we do. And the first thing that I realized, which I'm sure a lot of women and also men will understand, that walking in heels sober is a killer. So that for me was like, how did I do this? Like I came to like 1 hour within, I'm just like, oh my God. And then also becoming really like self-conscious, like when I was always working in the clubs, I didn't care if my eyelash was on my cheek or, you know, the nipple was out or whatever else. Like, it just got to a point where I didn't care. But when I got sober, I became very kind of like conscious, and I was very aware of what was going on and how I looked. Oh my God, I'm sweating. I need to reapply the lipstick. So that for me was a challenge. But also, I'd say another challenge for me was being around a lot of drunk people. And that, I mean, still to this day when I do gigs, like, I will not do a gig past 1 o'clock in the morning just for my own safety. It gets to a point where it's nice and it's fun, but when people have told me the same story 10 times over, I'm just like, girl, bye, it's done for me. It's time for me to move on. So I don't really go out clubbing as Calvin, but working in the club industry, I always have to have my cut-off point and know for my recovery, I suppose, and for my sobriety, which is what keeps me safe, and also to have fun, you know, and take another pair of heels as well with a smaller heel. That always does the world of good. Never a flip-flop. Never see me in a flip-flop ever.
I mean, yeah, I think definitely like day parties are the way forward, aren't they? Or like if the party could finish at 11 p.m. So, although to be fair, there are nights that I absolutely love. Like, I have had some really hardcore nights in Ibiza where I have been out till 8 a.m. completely sober, and in London where I've stayed out till 3 a.m. But when I was drinking, they were a weekly occurrence. Whereas now I can categorically say it's a special occasion. I love going out and I love dancing, but it's not an every week thing now as much as I, you know, love sober socializing. The nightclub element for me, and I'm sure you guys will agree, apart from Sanana, who has to be in a nightclub till 3 a.m., is like a special occasion thing for me now, which is amazing when I do it. Roxy, what about you? Have you had any big kind of sober socializing moments?
Wow, I had so many. I thought I'd share, I guess, you know, looking back to my childhood, I was originally born in Turkey, and I had some actually traumatizing like family experiences related to drugs and alcohol, which I couldn't really pinpoint or analyze at the time. Up until very like late part of my adulthood, I didn't really understand the impact of what I had witnessed as a little child. So later on, I realized that it did affect me quite a lot. And to this day, as a, you know, very empowered woman, I do sometimes experience sort of like self-esteem issues and, you know, the feelings of not good enough. And that kind of, I managed to, through, you know, a bunch of therapy and obviously talking to my family and talking to my loved ones, I was able to then, you know, reflect back and understand really it was coming from some of those, you know, traumatizing experiences. So that to one side. The other really interesting thing is I actually ended up, when I first moved to the UK from Turkey, I came to study here and I did my undergraduate degree, I did my master's degree. All throughout, I happened to just stumble upon the industry of online gambling. And I started working in online gambling, which is very strange, like transformation for me to now find myself working in mindfulness, working in conscious events, and working, you know, at Morning Gloryville. So the whole industry of online gambling is a very, I guess, you know, the industry makes a lot of money, and the night outs and the parties we've had, they're basically just free bar, you know, all you can imagine. And having experienced that, and obviously coming from Turkey, being in the UK and studying here, going to uni, it was all like sort of like new things for me, and like just, you know, going out with friends and drinking a lot. But then when I found Morning Gloryville in 2015, 26th of September 2015, that really kind of changed my life. And my circles changed, my friendships changed, people that inspired me changed. And I was able to then sort of go to these amazing parties, but just have healthier drinks and just make that choice, and just always remember that I have a choice, and, you know, just say that's not what I fancy. And I actually have never really been a big drinker anyway. So it was like an easy kind of sort of thing to give up for me. I think it was like a social thing for me. It was like a social pressure and like a influential thing that was coming from my environment. And then I made sort of one more shift, and I just can't remember. I can remember very clearly how high I was feeling after my first morning Gloryville. And, it was just super exciting, that feeling. I was feeling ecstatic, euphoric. So yeah, I thought this is the way forward.
Yeah, 100%. That amazing feeling after you're kind of like one of your sober first, and especially on a night out where, or just in an environment where you would normally associate alcohol, to know that you've had like the time of your life, like met new friends, had a dance, and that you didn't need anything other than like yourself and music and energy is like the most empowering, amazing feeling that you can ever get. And it does make you think, I actually never needed alcohol. I never needed anything else. It was always like within me to have a good time. But I was just so, for different reasons, whether it was peer pressure or whether it was environmental, whether it was your job, whatever it might be, that we were kind of told, oh, we need alcohol to have fun. Then you have a realization, actually, we don't need it at all. We just need ourselves and good company and good music, which we've all got here tonight. So that's why none of us drinking. I've also got my Liar's cocktail as well, just in case. Danny will be coming to you later. Me sober, how long have you guys or both of you been sober individually? And do you remember your first big sober night out? Or maybe
I can start. I'm on the other side. I'm in my third year of sobriety. Amazing. And the first sober event that I went, it was right after I had to go to rehab for half a year. So it was quite a hard experience. I needed it, but it was kind of tough. And I remember after that, like 2 months after that, it was my brother's wedding. And, I was living in Berlin and I was used to the party scene. I always went to Berghain and I was always high at parties. So it was very strange to be at a family event, at a wedding, being sober. And I remember we had to perform 3 songs. It was like a gift to my brother. And I used to sing before in front of an audience. Well, I'm not a big singer, but it's a hobby. And I never sang sober. I never sang without alcohol. And I remember I was there and I went to the bathroom. I was like, oh my God, I hope, I was sitting on the toilet and I was like, please God, help me. Please don't make me pass out. Because I was so nervous. And then it was such a good experience because I went on stage and I had the experience that even though I'm sober, I can go through it. I can be me and I can do this. I don't need alcohol. I don't need drugs to have fun, to perform, to connect with people. And I always like to have a sober buddy. Usually Kati's my sober buddy. But this time it was my mom. My mom was also a very good sober buddy. So that was my first experience. Yeah.
Yeah, so a real feeling of empowerment, really, that you didn't need that anymore for you, which is incredible. And maybe one day we'll be able to hear you sing. I obviously won't make you do that now because that's highly embarrassing.
No. I wouldn't mind.
Kath, how about you? Do you remember your first big sober occasion?
Yeah, actually, I also wanted to say my mom's 60th birthday, but then I remember, no. Vlada and I went to a sober single sensation party in Berlin. And it was funny because we got there and the first thing we got was like little shots. I think it was juice or something like this.
Ginger shots.
Ginger shots, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then we went in, and I have to say it was kind of lame. Like we got in there and we're like, oh my, this is going to be interesting. So the people behind the bar, they were super fun and they made like really nice mocktails. And we were just kind of like, standing there like kind of teenagers, when you enter a disco the first time, you're like, what am I supposed to do here? That's kind of like how we felt. And then they were doing some weird game on the stage or on the dance floor. And we're like, what are they doing? And then at some point, the DJ started playing music and we're like, okay, let's go dance. And then we kind of got into the flow and started dancing. And that was super nice because everyone was sober at that party. So you know how when the evening carries on and everyone kind of gets more drunk and more drunk, you kind of also start bumping into each other, or people start doing weird things when you're on the dance floor. But everyone was kind of like, you know, respecting the other's space. And I mean, there were still really crazy people that were like doing really weird moves, and we're like, okay, interesting. But it's so fun to like dance and you're yourself, you know, and you're conscious and you can watch the other people and you know everyone is sober, but they still can let go and you still can be your true self and just kind of let loose. And Vlada and I, we both really love to dance. And we just really danced the night out. And we went home and we both said, this is so crazy. We're going home on like a Saturday evening in Berlin and we're both sober. And we woke up the next morning. And that was, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys know that, right? When you know this usually would be the day when you're completely hungover and you wake up and you're like, okay, maybe I'm a bit tired, but I'm fresh. You know, we can go for breakfast and it's just great. Like this was such a great evening.
Yeah, 100%. It's amazing how much you can actually just do everything when you're sober. Like you can have a night out, have a good time, and get up in the morning. And I also think it's particularly interesting what you said about like the beginning of the night. And I also have found this, like there is that, you know, anxiety, the social anxiety in a way, even if it's kind of like the first 5 to 10, like half an hour of a night out. If it's in a new situation and you don't really know people, and normally what we're so ingrained to is go to the bar and just get a glass of wine and just have a drink. And we're like, okay, I'm ready. And we can talk and we can like do the evening. Whereas when you're sober, you don't actually have that luxury, or not luxury, downfall actually by the end of the night. It's okay for the first 5 minutes, isn't it? But, you know, a few hours later, not so good. You really have to kind of like dig deep and like actually like feel your like inner confidence, and kind of once you've got over that like minor hurdle, actually you can go talk to anyone, you can dance, you can do anything that you want that night, just being completely sober and not having to worry whether you've embarrassed yourself or whether you've got a regret or whether you're going to be going home or not, or whatever it might have been for you on a night out. If you just get over that like small hurdle, which I think is like the difficult time, it is the beginning, kind of half an hour, and once you've got over that, you're like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is actually amazing. And you have like the best night ever. So this ties me in nicely to my next question of what is your favorite thing about sober socializing? Mine 100% is actually waking up without a hangover. My hangovers used to be absolutely awful. And I'm so glad and I will never have one of those again. And I haven't had one of them for 2 years, which is still like amazing. But that's my favorite thing. Roxy, what's your favorite thing about sober socializing?
Mine is when you are sober socializing, how authentic everything is, and how, you know, really you are allowing the other person to see you, the true you, and you are really seeing the other person, their authentic, true, you know, self-expression. And that's exactly what sort of Katerina was saying. The collective energy and the power of dance floor really gives you that high and that energy, and you really do feel that euphoric energy, and then you can go and do really silly things and, you know, be really yourself, and, you know, allow your inner child to play freely. But mine is in the moment, that feeling that high and really knowing that I am being seen, and that it's okay. I'm great where I am. This is exactly where I need to be. I don't need to numb anything, or I don't need to take something to be more likable, be more lovable. And it's the same when I see the other person. They're great how they are. They're amazing where they are right now.
Yeah, amazing. And also, you know that everything that happened on the night was true, and all the conversations that you actually had with that person, like real conversations, and like when you've actually met someone, you're like, oh, you're going to be my best friend now. Like they're actually going to be like your best friend, and they're not like this fake best friend that you've like made in the toilet of a night out, which I really kind of enjoy. I don't have to be like, oh, whose number is that on my phone now? I actually remember who they are, and I meet up with them for coffee, which is always good. Calvin, what was your favourite thing about sober socialising?
I'd say the first thing definitely is knowing when to go home. I never had a cut-off point, so I can say to myself, right, I'm going home at this time, and I'm going home. And you know one thing, right, when I used to be drinking, I used to go to these amazing parties and used to have like amazing buffets. And you know, before the buffet would open, I'd see it and I'd scan it and I'd be like, I can't wait to eat all of that food. And then once I started drinking, the buffet was never seen again, you know what I mean? And then the next day I'd wake up hungover being like, oh my God, I could have ate all of that food. And I'd like be so disappointed with myself that I didn't eat it. So for me, I enjoy the fact that I can eat on a night out. Like I just love food, and I love the fact that I can see people for who they are, a little bit like what Roxy's just said then, which is, you know, not having beer goggles on and knowing the people that I'm around and who I'm surrounding myself by. Is the danger here? You know, am I safe? Is this a safe space for me? And, you know, finding what works for me as well. I mean, I've been to some dive of nightclubs before and thought I've had the best time ever. And I've been in this sober and I've gone, this place is disgusting. I would never have enjoyed myself here. And I'm the fact that I'm learning different types of music, like, you know, different places to go while I'm sober as well. It's not just like in a nightclub. It could be a lovely restaurant. It can be in a bar. It can be anywhere. And I think that's what I've been enjoying about, you know, the whole socialising sober, is getting to know myself a little bit more and getting to do it all again. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah, amazing. Son Anna, what was your favourite?
So I think it's really interesting what you said, Calvin, about staying safe. I mean, obviously, I've been kind of performing by myself since I was like 18, kind of going out, coming home at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And I've never really ever had an experience where I felt kind of really threatened or like really unsafe. And I think that's because I've always been sober. You know, I've kind of always felt like in control of the situation, and I can almost like give out like that vibe, you know, and it's kind of heads it off at the start. And also I think from a work point of view, like networking also is really important. So as you said, Emily, like the next day you can actually remember who you spoke to, and actually the night hasn't been wasted in a way, I guess. I mean, talking about it from like a professional point of view as well. And then if you have anything to do on Sunday, I can always do it because I feel healthy. I think that's the same for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and also you clearly have like a better judgment because for example, like you guys probably all know, but in the music industry, the relationships and the people you're meeting, it's so important because that can push you like further away or not. And when you're talking with people, and if you drank, but there is half of things you don't remember. You don't know or if the person say something like it's real, it's not a lie, or not, because you don't realize. But if you sober, you have like a better judgment, and you know actually if you can like really what we say if what the person says is true or not. Because you know, especially if the person is drunk, that's really different.
The only thing I would say though is that like sometimes you get to the end of the night and you have like people have bought like shots and like wine and everything, and you're looking and you're like, this is pretty much like £100 worth of drink. I would like much rather just throw the cash. Sometimes you're just like, no, it's such a waste.
And the funny things also that I see often is it's quite good for gossip too, actually. Yeah. Because when people they drunk, they're talking so much, and when you don't drink, you remember.
There's definitely a lot of oversharing, isn't there? When you're drunk?
Yeah. You don't have to because you're sober.
Yeah, exactly. But they do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I actually still do that when I'm sober because I don't.
So do I.
I dread to think what I was telling people when I was drinking. I can only imagine the stories that people know about me. and the whole networking thing. Like, I definitely used to be like, because I used to work, well, I do still work in nightlife, but, you know, I'd be like, you know, my boss would be like, what were you doing? I was like, I was networking at 6 a.m. with like a receipt of drinks to like expenses. Like, what were you saying to people at 6 a.m. networking? I was like, well, that's when all the best people network in nightlife.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, that's not true. You actually remember what people say if you just go for lunch with them and have a cup of coffee with them, and it's much better. And Calvin, I totally relate to what you say about the food as well. Like food for me was just like, quickly, let's line the stomach and then drink on top of it. Like, it was never like, oh, let's really enjoy like this delicious, nutritious meal with like friends and have lovely conversations. It was always just like, you know, let's eat so I can like drink longer, basically, you know. Me sober, what about you? What is your favorite thing about sober socializing?
I think it's the fact that I choose wisely who I spend my time with. Before, I used to go out and, well, I would have a lot of friends after I went out. Well, not real friends, but, you know, party friends. And I would meet guys that are not good for me. And now everything is just more quiet. And I choose like exactly who I want to spend the night with. And it doesn't happen that I wake up the next morning and be like, who are you? So this is a very good thing. I love that.
Very good thing. Yeah, I can totally relate with that one.
Yeah. And it's actually funny because I was listening to all of you guys, and actually my list in my mind just kept getting longer. That is great. That is great. That is great. That is great. So I'm like, there's so many things that are actually great. But for me personally, so I really love to connect with people on a deeper level. And that deeper connection you can only get when you're actually there, when you're conscious and when you're sober. And I remember when I go to parties and I get wasted, like what you all said, right? You don't really remember anymore. I most of the time also had blackouts, so I really did not remember anything. I know I said embarrassing things. I did things that hurt my body. And the next morning I just woke up and I felt like shit the whole day. So all of these things, and money, for example, I'm saving money. Like the list is just so long. I could just talk an hour about it, but you know, so I all agree with you.
Yeah, I literally think we could do like a whole panel just on like the benefits of like and basically. So someone's just asked a question, so I'm going to quickly divert off my questions to ask the wonderful Holly. Hi Holly, thank you so much for watching. Wants to know, did we lose any friends when we became sober? Calvin, did you lose any friends?
Oh honey, I don't lose friends, I just gain them. You know what I did? I mean, my friends network did change a lot. You know, I was partying a lot, you know, so I did lose friends, and those friends have came back into my life in different ways, you know, so it's not like I completely just like lost them. We just kind of meandered, and, you know, they stopped partying and they came back. So yeah, it's
yeah, I mean, I do feel very lucky in that respect, actually, that I have I've kept all the friends that matter, do you know? And I think that the ones that actually kind of were just my drinking, like pals or whatever, like there's actually some really positive things that they're no longer my friends, because actually it's allowed me to grow, and it's allowed space in my life for new, healthier friends to come in that are now like my sober friends and like my support. And I feel like with any period of growth or any period of change within yourself, like it's natural just kind of to like shed the layers that you don't need in every area. And I think that comes in your relationships, whether that's a romantic relationship or whether that's a friendship. Once you start to change, like you do really start to attract the people that are kind of like in alignment with you, and the people that aren't will just go. But I think if that is happening to you, to just embrace that and to know that it's happening for a reason, to make this amazing space for all these amazing new friends that will totally get you and support you, and the people that are still there for you are your true friends, and they will always be there no matter where you are in your life. So yeah, I think that's the positive thing I would take from that. Rox, what about you?
Definitely, like my circles have changed, but that was because I was going through a lot of transitions, like changing career, changing industries as well. And I mean, work is a place where we spend almost most of our time. We sometimes spend more time connecting with our sort of work colleagues than our partners or lovers or spouses. So I definitely, moving away from the gaming industry meant that I kind of separated from some friends, but that was also because we were no longer sort of hanging out in the office every single day. But even back then, when I used to sort of work in the gaming industry, I used to feel like some of the conversations almost weren't real, or some of the situations just felt like, what's the purpose? What is the meaning behind this? Like, why are we talking about, how much a player wagered or something like that, And I was thinking, I need to find more meaning in my life, and as Calvin said, those friendships kind of came in different ways, and I made different friends, and the people that really, as you said, the people that really mattered, they stay in your life anyway. The people that really see you for who you are, really care for you, they stay no matter what. Whether your choices are different or not, they respect you. And I have a dear friend who lives in Paris. We always do little reunions and get together. We were actually friends from the gaming industry. Neither of us work in gaming anymore. And whenever we come together, she never drinks around me, so that's not something that I've asked from her, but she feels that I'm one of her really health conscious friends, and that really, I guess, inspires her in some ways. And I'm really happy about that, actually. So, and we save money together as well. When we go for a lunch date or something, we don't end up, spending a lot and still have an amazing time.
Yeah, exactly. There's no oh, should we just get another bottle? And then you're like, oh, £200 later. And it's only a Monday night. Be sober. You'd be lucky because you guys have this beautiful, amazing friendship together. So I suppose whatever has happened around that, you've always had each other. But have you noticed that you have lost friends or gained friends since making this life choice?
I think I actually gained friends, and the people that I've lost were people that I went out with, and it was all very shallow, our relationships. So it was at some point, when you go out and when you're high, everyone's saying, yeah, well, I love you so much and blah, and it's just not real. And of course, when I made the decision to get sober, I was disappointed about the fact that those people just left. But in the end, I knew it. I knew it from the beginning that this is going to happen if I make that choice. So it was okay. And like you said, Kati was always there. So, I actually gained friends. I gained people who really mean a lot to me. And this is also a very good thing about sobriety.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many friends now, so many different friends. It's amazing since going sober. What I was going to ask you guys is your favorite. So if anyone is newly sober, or actually, do you know what? There are even people that have been sober for a year, 2 years, that the socializing element of their journey is something that actually doesn't come naturally, and they do really struggle with, and they do have anxiety around it. And I think there are a lot of people in that boat that are still relearning that side of their life, really, and how to adjust. So I want to know your kind of top tip for sober socializing, and what advice would you give to someone that is maybe struggling with this? Sanana, would you like to go in first with this one?
So top tips. So I mean, I don't have social anxiety, but I'm not always the most sociable person. So I think something that is really, like, especially in uni as well, because everyone was drinking and I wasn't drinking. So I found it quite hard to make friends in uni. And I think my tip would just be to, like, I didn't put pressure on myself. If I didn't want to go out and, like, go to a party or go out for drinks with someone, even if I wasn't going to be drinking, I just didn't say yes, so I just didn't go. And I think the same is true now. I mean, now all of my friends, I don't feel that pressure anymore, but definitely in my early 20s I did. And I was just confident in kind of the reasons why I didn't want to drink, knew that it didn't reflect who I was as a person. And actually, if people judged me and didn't want to be my friend or whatever because I didn't drink, I mean, I probably didn't want to be their friend, you know, because as you say, it would be quite shallow. So I think just, like, don't put pressure on yourself to be social if you're just not feeling it.
Yeah, no.
I will say also, it's good to ask ourselves the good questions. We often say that it's easier to say, it's more difficult to say no than say yes. And often if someone asks to hang out or go somewhere extra, it's good to not say, like, taking few seconds before to say yes, and just think about it and think why I want to go hang out with this person. What's the reason? Because if it's for the wrong reason, there is more chance to go and drinking a lot and finishing drunk. But if it's for the good reasons, it would be because we like the person or because we want to meet someone really, like, deeply, and that changes already everything about the future.
And also, I think, like, when people are pushing you to drink, most of the time they're not doing it because they think you're going to have a good time. They're doing it for themselves, whatever reason they want you to be drunk. So I think that also helps you stop feeling bad almost, because you're thinking, oh, maybe I'm being rude, maybe, you know, I should be kind of part of the gang. And then you actually think, they've got their own motive, and even for them to be pressurizing me to drink, that's their own motive. So they can do whatever they want. Just stay on my lane, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think people just want to, like, feel better sometimes about their drinking situation and, you know, have a good time. And to do that, they think it's like you both getting drunk together. And also, probably if you go out with someone and they, like, make you need, like, a shot of Sambuca just to be around them, it's probably a good sign that you probably shouldn't be around them.
Yeah. Exactly. Someone wouldn't, like, pressurize you to eat a sandwich. Do you know what I mean? It's like a personal choice. You know, you'd think that was really weird if they were like, eat that now.
And because so actually the drinking is not drinking the problem. The problem is why.
Yeah.
It's why we're drinking and why drinking too much. That's the problem, because often there is a reason behind, and is even not because the drink is the reason.
Yeah.
So it's good to ask ourselves.
So take your time. Don't feel pressured.
Yes.
And just do you.
And ask you the good questions.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys. That's incredible advice. I love that very much. Alvin, what's your top tip for people to struggling with socializing?
I'd say definitely for me, which is because you spoke about anxiety as well, so that I struggled a lot with that, which is the social aspect of it. Like when I drank to kind of mask a lot of my social anxiety and being around people. And what my advice would be is bit by bit, like don't force yourself to complete a whole night. Do an hour, you know, even half an hour if you feel like that, then come away. But also not to beat yourself up and be like, oh, I didn't stay, I missed out, and having that whole FOMO thing. Like congratulate yourself and be like, you know what? I've just been there for half an hour and I've got over that. And then try it again next time. And then sometimes, you know, you might get 3 hours, and then some days you might get half an hour to go. So it's always as well, like, excuse me, knowing where I am on that day. Have I had a bad day? Have I had a bad week? And am I able to socialize and do that around other people that are drinking? And also, I think it's really important to stress on, you know, socializing in any which way. You can do that in many different ways, which is like eating food, going to a bar, going to a nightclub. But, you know, it's not to put pressure, especially on young people, that you must go to nightclubs in order to be cool or in order to be trendy or whatever that might be, you know. So people are trying to force themselves into a certain place, and maybe that's not your space. So what the tip I would say as well is find your space, find what resonates for you, and find what works for you as a person as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, bit by bit.
I think that is amazing advice. Thank you so much for that. Those two beautiful nuggets that you've got there. People find it very helpful. And also the way that I think of it as well is like, just because I was drinking, actually, I didn't have a good night every time that I was drinking. Some nights were actually really awful and quite boring, and I had to drink to actually get through them. And I woke up being like, oh, I wish I didn't drink that much like that night, because it wasn't actually very good. So I think, we have this thing of like, we have to have this amazing night, and every time that we go out has to be great and has to be brilliant. But actually, even when we were drinking, not every night was good. So it's going to be the same when we're sober. Not every night is going to be good. So don't put that expectation on yourself that just because you're going out that it has to be amazing. Do you know what? It might not be, but the amazing thing is that you're sober and that you can leave when you want to leave, and know when, this party or this occasion isn't serving you anymore. Instead of, oh, shall we get 10 more bottles and try and make it fun and go home at 8 a.m. and feel absolutely horrific the next day? No, you don't need to do that anymore, which is like my top tip. I don't think we've got too long left, but Roxy, would you like to quickly give us a tip?
One of the things would be to take a look at like Club Soda and, Mindful Drinking Festival and like Me Sober, and follow all these like alcohol-free spirits and all the amazing things that these incredible herbalists and mixologists are doing. And we always have a bar at Morning Gloryville. And, it's always serving healthy stuff. It's always serving non-alcoholic cocktails, nutritious stuff, botanically active stuff, alive things, smoothies, juices. Obviously, go crazy and like have fun, be playful. And create your own mocktails. And if you switch to sober, it doesn't mean that you're going to have a boring life. You can make it really fun, and you can have amazing, sophisticated drinks and feel really great, and definitely not have the calories, and definitely not have all the, other, downsides as well.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, so basically have fun, go order amazing drinks, and you don't need to compromise your social life, is what I'm summing up from that amazing advice there. Thank you, Roxy. Me Sober, really quickly before we head into the amazing Liars cocktails. Tell me your top tip for sober socializing.
Yeah, so what we always say also to our mentees, make a decision and stick to it. Because what we see a lot is that people are kind of, maybe I don't drink, maybe I drink, and then they go to a party and then all of their friends drink and they're like, yeah, fuck it, okay, I drink too. So we usually say make a decision and stick to it, because it also means you're taking yourself and your sobriety serious and have a plan. Because if you have a plan, that always helps you, because when we're in the moment, the autopilot takes over and we're like, I don't know. So have a plan.
Very much. You've got one last thing to add, Valda?
Are we good? Be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be nervous. It's totally okay to be nervous.
100% natural to be nervous. I totally agree. Yeah, so having an exit strategy is always good. Knowing how you're going to get home, like who would you maybe call. I've always found that really comforting. And I'll just finish off with one last tip: is just to own your
sober buddy. Have a sober buddy.
Sober buddy. I always have someone I can call if I get into some triggering situations. And yeah, just to own your sobriety. Like, it is the best decision that you'll ever make for yourself. Like, never be ashamed of that. Like, putting your best version forward to the world is the most amazing thing that you can do for yourself and everyone around you. So if other people don't like that, then that's their problem and not yours. So on that note, we're going to introduce Liars, which I'm so excited about. Danny, you know that Liars has basically got me through my lockdown. And without you, I would still be on probably boring like tap water or something. So I'm really excited that you are about to make my two favourite drinks, an Espresso Martini and a Negroni.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Well,
Well, first of all, well done, everybody. Congratulations to you all. My name's Daniel. I'm the brand ambassador for Liars. I've been working in bars for like 30-something years. And I'm actually, target audience for Liars. I've been in the business, as I said, forever, but also very keen on riding my motorcycle and getting me home whenever I fancy. So my bike's kept me off the booze for some time, but now I'm back with a vengeance. I'm making cocktails left, right and centre. I'm creating and I'm experimenting, and we've been making loads of classic cocktails with non-alcoholic ingredients. So the first one we're going to do is our take on an Espresso Martini, or if you want to call it an Espresso Martino. The base for it is the white cane spirit. So we use like 15 ml of this. It's just under a shot. That is our stand-in for any sort of white alcohol. Normally this would be vodka and coffee liqueur. So that's standing in for vodka. It's also very, very exceptionally good, actually, stand-in for a white rum. This is our coffee original. And that's our coffee liqueur. A lot less sugar than a coffee liqueur. And for that reason, when we do the Liars version of the Espresso Martini, I like to add a little bit of vanilla sugar. Depends on your taste, but this is going to be about 15 ml. Like that. And a shot of espresso. So this will get shaken up nicely, chilled right down, and I'm going to serve it into my chilled martini glass. Hold tight for danger! So Liars basically created a range of like back bar essentials. So if you were to have a cocktail bar, these would be your go-to spirits you have to have. So we mimic the spirits that we love.
Oh, look at that.
Are you all good there?
Yeah, it looks great.
It's gonna taste even better, but that's for me to say. So here's wealth, health, and happiness. My little 3-bean garnish. A good shake-up should give it a nice little head.
I'm actually quite annoyed because normally I actually do my panels with an a Liars Espresso Martini. So I am upset that we can't do that tonight.
Here you go. Have a sip.
Oh, it tastes really good. Thank you.
I mean, the thing, I've been working with the non-alcoholic sector since before its inception. I used to work for a brand, a British aperitif that was like a very early riser in the low alcohol movement called Cam and Sons. And since then, my alcohol intake's been going down and down and down and down and down and down. But it's brilliant fun to be able to come back with a vengeance and get back behind the bar and actually mix non-alcoholic spirits that are full of flavour, full of body. The aroma is wonderful. You'll have to take my word for it. So there's our Espresso Martini. It's super simple to make. The thing to remember is to not be scared and just get involved, dive straight in. The next one is the Liars version of probably the most popular cocktail in the world. It gets very famous, comes in and out. It's a very old cocktail. It's called the Negroni. It's named after an Italian playboy, Count Negroni. And it's one of the easiest and most delicious cocktails to make. So start off with a big rock of ice. Traditionally, these drinks are made, poured over ice and slowly stirred down just to add a bit of dilution to the drink. But what we find with the non-alcoholic spirits, they're pretty much perfectly balanced and they don't need the watering down aspect of it. So for this, it's like a couple of our Italian spirits showcased. Italian orange, a very Campari-esque, bittersweet, full-bodied, vibrant, sprightly little fellow. He's really tasty. I like to think of, if you think of Campari as like vinyl and the Italian orange is like an MP3, It's got all of the characteristics. It's got everything there, but maybe quite not as deep on the bass and not as tops on the treble, but it's got everything there in the middle. This is our Vermouth Rosso.
And Danny, what is this? My absolute favourite.
The Negroni, or the Vermouth Rosso.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's your favourite and mine, actually. Both of our vermouths are off the hook. So it's an aperitif style drink. So these were traditionally used to like add a little bitterness to your drink that would activate your gastric juices and get you ready for a meal. So it was a big thing in Italy. They love to eat. This is a great way to like get your appetite going. And we've still got all the bitterness in there that you would have had in an original. So it still works as an aperitivo very nicely. The Vermouth Rosso there is just so flavoursome. It's delicious, and I drink that quite solidly with just ice. It's brilliant. And this here is our Dry London Spirit. So this is our gin alternative, and again, like it's very ginny. Lots of juniper, with some mint and some orange blossom. It's really, really, really. It's like halfway between a very floral gin and a Dry London gin. But it's super fun to play with. Makes a great gin and tonic, but an even better Negroni. And so this, just going to finish this off with a little orange wheel. Just squeeze a couple of drops out and serve it into there. So there you have your Espresso Martini. This is maybe, I should have probably done the pre-dinner drink first and the post-dinner drink afterwards. But just a couple of the amazing cocktails. Oh, excuse me for a second.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I just had to double check that was nice. It's brilliant, you know, because I'm, like I said, not a massive drinker. I love riding my bike. And I would always have an issue when I was out that the only thing available to me was like a Coke or a ginger beer or something. And, you know, adult non-drinkers by the trade in general were just not considered. And now I can go into a couple of my friends' bars and I can have my own favourite cocktail with as much or as little or no alcohol in it as I want. So this can be made with non-alcoholic gin, and maybe an alcoholic vermouth for make a very low ABV cocktail, or you can just put some hairs on your chest, or you can keep it as it is, completely alcohol free. It's just as delicious as you have.
Drinks are amazing. Like you wouldn't even know really that you're not drinking. And quickly, Kate just said the drinks looks amazing, and Daniel is brilliant. So I just wanted to give you that feedback.
I am brilliant.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you,
and
guys.
thank you so much, everyone, for being on this amazing panel and giving up your Saturday night and giving amazing flavor tips. And I love you all dearly. And happy Saturday.